All right. Hello, Truth Soldiers. What a blessing it is to have some of you joining us. I know people are still trickling in. What a blessing it is to see you guys joining us for a huge announcement, some updates about Creation Standard. And if you are joining or watching this later and you have no clue what Creation Standard is, I'll just give you a summary. For those of you who may be new here, I forget that that still happens. But for those that don't know, I have been a teacher for many years, about 17 years in the public school setting. And being a science teacher, teaching biology, and being a creationist is a unique challenge. And I was blessed along the way. I had my brother come up to me in the early days when I was first doing biology and say, "Have you investigated, some of the fraud?" Because we were already creationists, but just some of the fraud in evolution. And he started listing things because we were special ed teachers at first, and we would see different classrooms and we would be in different subjects. And so I fell in love with intelligent design, which led me to biology. And so we ended up investigating a lot of the deceptions of evolution. And wow, that was where the truth journey took a turn and ended up being a part of why, or a big part of why we are now stepping outside of the school systems that teach so many lies. The lies are a part of the standard. And if you've ever been in education, you know what standards are. It's your script. You're given a script of the things you have to cover, and you have to speak the language of the standards or the script, and you have to stick to it year after year, even if you disagree with it. They tell you need to teach it, almost like it's proven fact. And so had some miracles happen, and we decided to teach biblical science classes online. And I say decided, the Father led me to do it. I was terrified, didn't want to do it, but we have done it. We have completed an entire year. And so I have both our main, FEB channel, and we're streaming this to our Creation Standard channel. And so we have a lot of our awesome truther family from both sides joining us live today. And so it's been quite the journey. This year we taught earth science and life science. And I had 2 earth science classes, 2 life science classes. And so we targeted, middle grades, maybe late elementary school with earth science, and then high school with earth science with our fundamental class. And then life science, destroying the lies of evolution. We had 2 of those classes as well, just like the earth science. And so they're sort of building blocks, one for the other, with Earth Foundation being the class that is going to set a solid foundation for the proof of creation that's out there. We put it to the test this year, and I learned more than I've ever learned in my entire life on this journey. But I've also worked harder than I've ever worked in my entire life on this journey. And so it's been really busy. I'm getting caught up with a lot of things, trying to prepare for baby number 6 on the way, and getting caught up with all the things that kind of got put on the back burner during this past year's experience with Creation Standard. But oh my goodness, what a blessing it has been getting to know the most awesome people in the world. Seeing what our Father is doing with his inheritance and his children has been humbling. The parents out there are raising up a generation of true soldiers unlike anything that has yet to have been. I feel like a bunch of future prophets, future immortals. It's spectacular. And I get to fellowship with them on a weekly basis, and they get to fellowship with other like-minded people. That's what is so cool about this, seeing these young super soldiers getting to fellowship. And then at the end of the year, this year, we had a parent night where we got to talk with all the parents and hear their testimonies and see what they're doing that's working, because obviously what they're doing is working. I have witnessed that. They do things that seem to defy the laws of parenting. Like they can have 5 children spaced out at different ages, from teenagers to age 3, sitting together and getting along and listening for one of the lectures, like stuff like that to me just seems impossible if I was to try that with all my children. And so it's been a blessing, but we do have some major announcements and updates, things that we have been working on. My wife, as most of you know, Amber, is my administrator. She's the one, at first I was like, it's more of a secretarial thing, but when you see all the stuff that she's had to do with keeping up with registrations and all of that, it's a lot of work. It was a full-time job. Me and her both were working about 17 hours a day, it seemed like, getting things started. And then, of course, once things start to get going, it gets a little bit easier on her end, but she still has done amazing work. My beautiful wife, Amber, And so keep her in your prayers as she is about to have our young baby girl, newborn baby girl, not young yet. She'll be young here pretty soon. And so what a blessing that's going to be. I prayed for a girl many years ago, and our Father answered, and then he answered again. He knows what you need before you even ask for it. And so here we are, about to have child number 6. But yeah, I have some of you guys in the chat. I'm seeing your comments here. Can't wait to see what you have today. Harry and Kim said, waiting from Pennsylvania. Spirit is moving in Pennsylvania. Had a lot of good people come this way for some of our meetups in the past, and it was amazing how they all came here to the same meetup from the same place. 2 of the people were neighbors. Imagine that. They were like, I'm right down the road from you. How cool is that? Now they're roommates. Pretty cool. Lots of cool stuff with the Spirit moving here. And so I don't want to waste a lot of your time. I want to be kind of quick and to the point with this. I don't want to ramble like I normally do, but I want to let you know what we have been up to. I'll pull up a presentation here in a little bit that will show you. I forgot to actually add that down below, but I will bring that up pretty soon. But one thing, I'll go ahead and tell you what we have been working on. Let me see if I can share my slides, Google Slides here. What I have been working on, providing for next year, because this year was a building year. We have been building stuff by the guidance of the Holy Spirit. It has not been by my own work. If anything really special has come out of this, the information and the wisdom, it's not been because of anything I've done or my head knowledge. It's because our Creator is leading us like a shepherd, guiding us to the beautiful things of his truth that we often miss. And so a lot of things have came to the surface. New things that I don't think anyone has been talking about. And I'm like, wow, how is this not world news? And so it's beautiful stuff. But we are now, since we have put all this stuff together this year through spiritual guidance, now we're making workbooks. And I'm hoping to have, and this is very ambitious because right now I'm not even finished with 1. And I've got the rest of this summer to make 3 more. And so we're getting close, though. Things once you make 1, you have a template, and it'll be easier to make the other ones. And so there'll be some time to cut out there, but I am hoping to at least for our older students to have more rigor, and they can have books to go along with the journey, more assignments. That's a hard part. I did not know how awesome students can be in this reality. It's a different reality when you go from working in the public school setting to homeschool. It's a totally different world, and they are thankful. First time in my life I've ever had students say, thank you so much for the lesson every day. It's a blessing. The best manners, the best questions, just really good student. And I've had good students. I'm not dissing public school students. They are awesome as well. But obviously there is just a lot going on when it comes to what the Father is doing in their lives. Oh, there it is. Let me see. General information. And so let me add to the stage our website here. And I'm going to scroll down. I'll let you guys see. This is our website, CreationStandard.com, that has a lot of information. If you look at the home page, see if you guys can see the same home page I'm looking at here. You might notice something. It says, a virtual class experience that uses math, science, history, and scripture to guide people to the truth of our Father's creation and his love for them. Join us as we replace indoctrination with the provable truth of creation. Anybody notice anything a little different? Because I told you guys we did Earth and Life Science this year, so you probably noticed something a little different. It says math, science, history. Something new, almost as if there's a change coming. And there's a change coming. I have been praying this year for help, someone to step up and help. And I've had a lot of people offer to help. I'm not saying no one has been offering me to help. Like I've just been drowning in work and no one's offering to help. I'm just not good at accepting help. We've had a lot of people volunteer, people that a lot of times you've never met. And they're just like, I would love to help with this. I'm a retired school teacher, or I've got experience with this and I want to help with that. And we have so many of those people. And that's one of my weaknesses is going, all right, go ahead and help me. Here you go. And, but something happened along the way. Many of you guys know the testimony my brother just shared about his adventure trying to go into ministry. And things took a turn when they tried to get him to sign the contract and agree to certain beliefs that went against what he believed. And that didn't work out. And I jokingly said, you were going to raise funds for that job. I'll give you a really good deal. You raise your funds, you can come help us out if you raise your own funds. And I don't know if seeds were planted at that point, but he reached out to me and said, you know what, brother? He said, I'm willing to do just that. I'm willing to help and raise funds for my own position to help you at Creation Standard. And when he said it, I got a little choked up because I was like, wow, I've been praying for help. And it's hard to find a certified teacher that you don't have to do a background check for. Got a master's degree, a biblical creationist, and all that stuff. But he said those things. And I thought, he's saying that. The fear will probably kick in like it did with me. And he'll say, no, I got a better job offer. Because when you're a math teacher, you get a lot of job offers. But he said, I'm going to do this. And I know what the fear feels like because I went through it last year. And even now, we're having it again because I'm not getting a paycheck like I'm used to, the steady paycheck. Teachers, you get paid all summer, but I've been blessed that my wife is really good with finances. And so we are doing our best to spread things out and survive until we start back up in September. Could not do it without what the Father sent me. But I want to go ahead and bring on the big reveal. Drum roll, please. The one who said he is going to partner up with us. And the way this works, though, it's a little different. I can't be his boss and say, welcome to Creation Standard. I'm going to give you a paycheck. We just can't do it the way it's set up. So he is going to be joining. It's going to be unique. We'll talk about that, but going to bring on my clone back when cloning was legal. You guys know back in the early 80s, a lot of things were different, but here he is, my brother, Michael. Many of you know him. What's up, brother? Hopefully we can hear you.
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me on. Got big things coming our way. Yeah, like Josh, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and I forgot here.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Now you can hear them. I turned on the sound so you could hear people that from their own houses tuning in.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, made a really big decision to join with Creation Standard. Of course, I'm going to be Foundation Standard, but yeah, we are partnering together, one and the same. I was, like Josh said, I really felt God leading me out of the classroom, and it was so strong these last 2 years. And Josh making the step and really going out and saying, "Hey, I'm doing this." And I was like, "Hey, are you sure you're a single income family? Can you make this work?" And it's more of a question of like, can God make it work? And He always can. So for me, like kind of being that voice of like, "Hey, make sure you can take care of your family." And he did this year Creation Standard, and it worked out great. And I kept hearing God leading me into ministry, and I was like, "Okay, I'm stepping out of the classroom." I was going to be taking a position with FCA, and of course, with our beliefs, I could not sign off on their statement of faith. And I had already resigned my contract. I was so just all in going into ministry. And a part of that ministry was raising your own income, like getting help raising your own money. And Josh just made the joke like, "Hey, you were going to do it for them, might as well do it for me." And it convicted me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that?" It's kind of like, here I am wanting to get into ministry. And, me and Josh we've done everything together, from day one. I mean, literally everything's been together. And even coming across the truth of creation was something that it was like, we were both questioning things. I was giving him stuff. We were going back and forth. And to me, this is just God moving us in the right direction. And now we're a part of a ministry where we really are free to tell the truth. I was going to be a part of a ministry that made you speak by their book. And I feel like God wants us to be free. And when one door closes, I think God's grace is so powerful. Even His no is just as graceful as His yes. And so this is really, it's scary. It's exciting. Leaving a paycheck that you get every single month, you're like, "Oh gosh, what's going to happen?" But I know God's going to use us, and He's going to bless this ministry just like He has been doing, throughout the year.
Yeah. And it is, He said the word scary. It doesn't matter like faith, how strong your faith and your trust is when you're laying there at night and you know what it takes to survive in this world with this economy, with all the things going on. You guys know World War III on the brink, all these things going on.
Yeah.
The enemy's like, "What are you doing?" Trying to plant those seeds of doubt. And I know my mother-in-law stepped up with me and says, "You have peace about your decision. Where's the fear coming from?" And she was right. I made my decision right there. I was like, she's right. We need to make decisions that bless Him. But it's one of those decisions. It's a worldwide. If you don't know what Creation Standard has become, I'll just give you some clues. It has become a worldwide online virtual classroom experience for truth seekers with earth and life science. With homeschooling, usually the biggest thing you have to find instruction for is math, science, and history. And it's full of lies. Not as much math, but math is always made really confusing. And it was really
Yeah,
confusing
well,
to
there's
me.
a lot of math standards that really aren't applicable to anything. When
Yeah.
you're teaching algebra 2, you start hearing things like kids ask me, when are we going to ever use this? So when you, as a teacher, you say, well, let me look into it. And it turns out the only people who use, like, say, synthetic division of polynomials, a really strange math problem that's like 20 steps. And I looked into it. Only NASA claims to use this when they're tracking something on its way to Mars. So you're like, really nobody's technically using this, but we're teaching idiots. It's amazing what's
Yeah.
still in the math standards these days.
Yeah. They leave stuff in the script that stays. And it's designed, I think, to make you feel dumb and be confused. But with his approach to math, I know because me and him both, part of our testimony was our struggle in school. And that's what I believe has helped us become better teachers is we didn't just get it. We struggled and struggled, and I didn't make academic honor roll until I was in college. I might have made it like in third or fourth grade, 6 weeks or something, but like actually making it successfully in college, my third year, on the verge of academic suspension when the father showed us how to survive, showed me, here's how you get by. Here's how you figure this stuff out. You give me your best, I'll give you the rest. And
yeah, I went from second grade until my senior year at UTC without making honor roll.
Yeah,
took me that long to get
the
it back.
streak alive. Yeah, so it's a blessing we're teaching now. Like getting a degree was a big deal for us. A high school diploma was a big deal for me, and so it was a blessing to then go on to that, getting graduating from college, and then going and getting a master's degree, something I never would have thought possible. And so he's guided our paths, led us to where we've both taught special ed. We've both worked, math and science all over the place. I think I've had English background as well, teaching English classes. But the biggest thing for our children, the things that when you're doing a homeschool experience and journey, is shielding them from all the lies. And my wife gets these little science books, and it's like, oh my goodness, you could just tear out 90% of the pages. And it's Christian school science curriculum, stuff designed for Christians, and it's still full of the programming. And they can't help it. They're trying. They're where a lot of us were 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 15 years ago. And so they're trying to provide Christian stuff, but we are in a mass exodus experience right now. And so we have to partner up for these children to bring them a strong foundation so that when they go out into this world, which you never know when that's going to be or how that's going to happen, what age they're going to be when they leave, you want them to have a super strong foundation because this world is going to be offering them false wisdom left and right from the earliest of ages. And so it's important to build that. And I'm seeing that with my own children, ones that you think, we've given them a pretty strong foundation, but then that worldly wisdom starts popping up and it starts trying to lure them away. So it is a big deal, the seeds that we plant early on with our little true soldiers here, and how blessed we have been to have the ones that we've had experiences with, as well as our own children. It's been quite the journey. And so Creation Standard this year, just to give you a little, there's the books I was talking about. We're going to try to have some books available to order by mid to late August, but hopefully mid August, so that you can get them before classes start September 2nd. But we have a large family, as you can see, spanning far and wide across the U.S. and in other countries. Sadly, however, I found out on this journey that homeschooling is illegal and very restrictive in many places. There's places in the U.S. where there's a lot of restrictions. It varies from state to state. That's the tricky part about this adventure, is finding out what everybody state has, as far as restrictions. And so it can vary depending on where you're at. The little map here shows you some of the places where our students call in from. We offered night sessions for people in distant time zones, morning sessions. I tried to spread them out so that we could reach everybody, as many as possible. And here's a list real quick of all the places where homeschooling is illegal.
Wow.
Them. I didn't know that. I was like, how can they take away your right to teach your children in your house? Well, we're blessed. When you see the green, that's blue, but with restrictions, registrations, and tax things and all that, tax restrictions or lax restrictions. Blue is legal with minimal or no regulations or exceptions. And so look how many places are blue on that map. That entire map should be blue. It's just a small little fraction. And so most of our students come from the green areas. And with homeschool families, many of them are free and reduced prices because you're a one income family. If you're doing homeschool, obviously, usually, not all the time, you're a one income family. And so it is tough. We have a lot of free and reduced price students. And so Creation Standard and Foundation Standard are going to need support. And so let me remove this so I can show you guys. If you go to creationstandard.com, there is at the very top of the page, click on the little more option, support us, click that. And it tells you a lot about Creation Standard, sort of the needs that we have. We're going to be paying for books. And if somebody is joining for free, most likely they're going to need free textbooks or free workbooks. And so the free workbooks for the experience, they're not mandatory. You don't have to have them, but it will guide the experience. It will give them something to work in without having to always stay in front of a computer. They can go off and work separately. I think that would be a great blessing. But workbooks aren't free. I would like to just give them away, but I have to order them and then ship them to people unless I choose to use a website to do that for me. But I want it to be as cheap as possible. So if you know people who want to be a donor and donate for this cause and help us make things like this possible for the families in need, because we right now, it's about 50% in need. And my wife and I told her, I said, we can't turn people away. If they come here and they want the truth, we don't need to say, sorry, we need your money. No, we do need the support, but I would rather them have that foundation. And then in the future, if they can pay us back, pay us back. And if they can't, they have a strong foundation. And that is something you cannot put a price tag on. And so you go here and you scroll down. I put out the pricing kind of just to give you a look at how much it is based on family size. And to clarify with our pricing, I'll go over that in just a second, that it's separate, because right now, if you get it's discounted per class. If you get, one class is $30, two classes, it's $50, three, it's $60. So it's going down in price, $10 every time. And then the fourth class is free. We've had people, they get the fourth class free. Nobody has paid for the fourth class. I just can't expect somebody to pay that much per month or more than $60 a month. Even though I believe it's worth it, I wouldn't want somebody to do that. And so with my brother joining with Foundation Standard, his is going to be separate. And so it wouldn't be you get hours for that discounted price and then you go to him and it's free, because then, he's doing this for a living as well. And so it is going to be separated. That will be a little confusing at first. Creation Standard, Foundation Standard, keeping those two, understanding that it's two different families we have. We don't live together just because we look alike. We're neighbors. We live pretty close. We're about 15, 20 minutes away from each other. But two different families, two different houses. And so Foundation Standard, Creation Standard. The support options are here. You can mail support directly to either one of us. If you want to support my brother's mission with his, joining us and offering math and biblical world history, feel free to do that. I'll show you what those courses look like here in just a second, so you'll know what you're supporting. But you can mail it directly to the P.O. box. If it's to Foundation Standard, I'll give it to him. And if it's to me, of course, we'll take it. And so our courses, the ones that we want to offer, you can click course info, and it will pull all this up right here. The classes we've offered this year with, again, Earth Foundation was our most popular. We had the most students there, talking about biblical creation, starting from the very beginning and then comparing that to worldly wisdom and putting it to the test. We don't ignore worldly wisdom. We put it to the test. And we see time and time again the Father's truth prevailing. And then our more advanced version of that, high school and beyond, you can be 80 years old and register for this class. You're never too old to learn. So we've had older students join us. A lot of them aren't able to make the lives, but they listen to this stuff afterward. And they really get a lot out of it. They, sometimes they drive for a living, and so they'll be listening to this on the way home and stuff like that. And so Firmamental Breakdown was that class. It was an advanced earth science class. It's going to be ramped up. This next year, we're going to make more changes to this class. There's a lot. I feel like it kind of didn't get the attention it deserved because I had to prep for 4 different lessons this year. And Intro to design was one of the four, and it was a life science class. And so usually in middle school you have a life science class, and it's usually just called life science. But this is an intro to intelligent design, which is a life science class that focuses on the truth of creation and intelligent design. And what a blast we had. And I learned so much from my students. And that's the cool thing about homeschool students. They have skills that I didn't have when I was in school. When I graduated, could I go and start a farm? No. Could I, have bees and raise a bee colony? No. But a lot of these students, they're learning those skills at home. They're learning things that will help them out in the real world. So it's really cool learning from people like that. The Zafke family, they came on and they taught us the intelligent design of bees, how they have like a kingdom going on, with a structure, with rules, and they have rules to follow, and it's strict, so cool that they have to understand how intelligently designed those creatures are just to farm those bees. And so that was life science, middle grades, somewhere around there. And then biological design is equivalent to, I would say equivalent to, greater than your high school biology experience. This one is called biological design for a reason. It's going to look at intelligent design and be a more advanced version. It's going to go into more adult type of stuff, in certain areas, but not too much. It's very biblical and focusing on intelligent design. And so it was powerful. Learned a lot this year. Our evolution unit really took off and grew. It's one of the biggest ones because we want to really solidify how false it is, going over all the fraud. And then we got a little preferred path here. I like to space it out to where we get to spend more time with people. And so if you're starting this journey young, you start out in Earth's Foundation, just take one science class. You don't need to double up. Take one. You can double up. I don't say you don't have to, but you can. But it helps. It gives you time to grow and prepare for the older classes. So if you took Earth's Foundation 1 year, then you go to life science the next year, firmamental the next year, biological the next year. It would give us 4 years, which we like spending more time with people. Sad when they're just here for a year and they're gone. I like having the whole 4 years experience. And so that's the preferred path. But here is the new option that popped up on the website. I put it here and was seeing if anybody would notice. But the biblical, world history, and math that my brother's wanting to offer, you can click here for more information. And if you click here, let's see what it does. Oh, look at that. I'll try it up. Zoom
Nice.
out. So right there, just basic information for the class. If you want more information about what he is offering, because this is new stuff, I still don't know his entire vision. His vision versus my vision can be different. We're not exactly the same, with everything that we believe and everything we see and everything we want to do. So he's going to have his own experience that he brings to the table. I personally could not be a backup teacher for math. If something happens and he needs a substitute teacher for math, I'm not the guy.
Yeah,
my wife could do it. I could not do it.
The funny thing is I failed algebra in high school, and now I've been teaching it for years. And I always tell my kids at the beginning of every year, kind of my story of how I ended up a math teacher and how it was such a strange act of God that I ended up in the classroom because math was like intimidating. I failed it. Me and Josh in college had to have a tutor every single day to help us.
Three tutors.
Yeah,
I had three tutors at one time.
I actually ran into one of my old college tutors, and she was like, "What are you doing now?" And when I said I taught math, she was like, "What?" She was excited, but she was shocked. I was like, "You're just as shocked as I am." But yeah, the foundational math is more for middle school age math, and it's a combination of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but it's going to lean heavily into the 7th and 8th grade math standards. And then I want to make it very applicable to real world stuff, not just your basic, like, here's an equation, solve it. I want it to be something that's useful because a lot of the stuff that's taught these days and that I've been teaching for years, it's not useful. And I want to make it more applicable to real life skills. And the foundational algebra, it's going to be a lot of it's going to start out building the basics to algebra, but it's really going to hit heavy on the types of things because we know some of our students are going to be looking to go to college or do well on the SAT or ACT. And I don't want to discredit that and not really prepare you for whatever you're looking to get into. But the one I think we're most excited about is the biblical world history because there is so much. And Josh and I, throughout the past, I would say 10 or 15 years, just really researching scriptures and especially here lately have seen so many connections with the book of Genesis to and the Old Testament. Everything that we see, it correlates to the Messiah, and there's so many parallels and so many foreshadowings and prophecies. So as we go through every, kind of each segment of, and we've got it broken down. I don't know if they can really see that image very well, but into those every, what is it, the 7-day,
The millennial day
creation model, the millennial day. Yeah, every 1,000 years is like one day, just to kind of break that up into manageable parts, but to really hit those prophecies and those things that build our faith in the Word. Because when you really see what the Word of God has done in His predictions and His prophecies, things that are historically verifiable. I mean, there are things when I was working with world history classes. We were learning about King Cyrus, and that's a guy who was prophesied about in the book of Isaiah. And they don't really talk about that in school. But I think it is so incredible that you're learning about real people in history class. And God said, Cyrus is going to rebuild my temple. And it hadn't even been destroyed yet. And it gets rebuilt. And it's like, man, God's saying these things out by name. And we can historically verify when it was written the first time and when it came true in real life. So a lot of those ties and things just really getting us back to the powerful foundation, just being founded in the Word of God, and knowing every single word of this book was written for us, and how do we apply that to us today? I think it's just going to be a learning journey. Like Josh, the stuff that Josh has brought home and been like, hey, I was teaching this, and Josh is creating his own science curriculum. I mean, it's based on state standards, but he'll be like, man, I just discovered this. And he calls me and he's all excited. And I'm thinking, man, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? It's just things that when we've all been indoctrinated for so long, you would never think to look into it. So
Yeah,
it's been really cool seeing his journey and seeing how much he's learned from it. And I'm like, man, teaching a biblical history class, how much more we can learn every time we open the Word of God. It's going to be a lot of fun together.
Yeah, you just got to be careful. It gets too beautiful and too powerful when you start really looking into the love aspect of the Father for His creation as you go through Genesis. Like right now we're going through Exodus. I don't ever remember getting emotional going through Exodus, but now that I see the aspects of love and mercy and things that I'm seeing, and the heart of Moses, and how, the Father said, eventually I'm going to send one like you, Moses, I'm going to send one like you, and everyone's going to need to listen to him. Anyone that doesn't, basically, they're going to be held accountable. And talking about His beloved Son that He's going to send, and it's just like, wow, what love our Father had for His people, setting them free, knowing they're going to mess up. I mean, imagine I couldn't even imagine, like, if you're getting married and it's like, hey, you're going to get married to this person, they're going to cheat on you, but I need you to love them and forgive them and take them back. Like that, there's a love that we don't understand until we experience it. And then once we experience it, we want to know, what is it with this Creator? Why does He love someone like me that's messed up so many times? Why is He taking me back time and time again? And so, our children seeing that love and getting a foundation to see that this stuff is true. There's artifacts to back up the Word, from the Red Sea crossing to the flood. The artifacts are there. And so it's going to be fun. And I'm hoping we can all work together on this. My brother and my wife and my son, who's also a historian, just people coming together to put this stuff together and create it. Because we're creating it as a family, as a eternal family, putting this stuff together for future generations. It's not just, this is a one-time deal. We're putting it together, and we want it to end up in textbooks, which it's already happening. Workbooks, I should say. I don't like saying textbooks. It's a workbook that will guide the experience. It won't replace it, but having those along the way that you can use is something that I think will make this way more enjoyable. And so my brother is kind of like where I was this past year, where he's going to be building these things. He's already got a lot of math lessons. And I was like that, to where I already had a lot of life science lessons, because I taught biology and life science. And so I had a lot of those. But earth science was brand new. I hadn't taught that since 2008. And I got thrown into that classroom experience by a miracle. And my first day in the classroom, I was holding a globe and teaching the Coriolis effect. That's how far we've come since then. But it's the Father's way of showing it. I feel like be humble. This is where you came from. You were one of them. And like He said to the Israelites when He set them free, be kind to the strangers. Remember, you were once strangers. We've come out of Babylon. Be kind to those that are still in it. You were once them. Help bring them out. And so we are helping this Exodus journey with so many people. And our children have already, even if we don't know it, like, they consume falsities by just looking at a commercial. I mean, like there's just so much. Like I think we're trying to monitor what they watch, you know, and sometimes they'll want to watch a video, and you're like, okay, I'll let you watch a video. It's harmless. And even the commercials, it was a monster truck commercial that came on the other day for my boy who just turned 3. And the commercial, it's like a cartoon monster truck commercial. You think, oh, this is pretty innocent. And it was like talking about summoning spirits. And I'm like,
Wow.
what? I'm calling out and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, this is just a commercial. It's not even the video he was watching. So you can get them to watch something innocent, but they're going to still, you know, it is so hard. You're always trying to put the blindfolders on your kids to save them. And we just have to really focus on opening their eyes to the truth, and we don't have to worry about them as much. Like my daughter, you know, going into school and being able to testify to children the truth about things, whether it's something in the Bible, a false doctrine the kids have been taught, or something about the biblical earth. And it reminds me, let me just change screens here. This was a testimony. I asked them to share testimonies in our classroom if they had any from this year. And one of them, this is a testimony from one of our awesome students. They said, I wanted to briefly state or share about the Sherrod boys being courageous at their VBC this summer. Tadeo shared with his teacher about the flat earth, and both Tadeo and Akir respectfully refused to sing one of the songs, Spinning, and I'm sure you can guess why. Because of this, other believers were blessed to hear more of the Father's truth, and they were able to impact their teachers as well, because you can impact a teacher, you're going to change a lot more people than if you impact a student. Now, we are so blessed to walk in the light of life and worship in spirit and in truth. Abba is so faithful. Thank you, Mr. Keefe, for your kindness towards these little warriors. And thank you, Mrs. Keefe, for all your work behind the scenes. May Abba richly reward you, beloved, for all the kingdom efforts you are making. Hope to see you all this evening. And so thank you for sharing that testimony. I know it's not easy to type up a quick testimony, but I just think it's powerful to see things like that. So what a blessing. Thank you for sharing that little testimony. I know that is something, there's many more like that. And that I get emotional thinking about that. These little true soldiers, lights to this dark world. This world needs it. We're going to need it. Our children are going to be seeing things that look real, that seem very believable, that go against our Father's truth, and they need to be ready. We need to be ready. We need to be humble. We need to know what the Bible says. And so what better way than to go through that with the earth and life science route and then see the biblical history, because biblical history is our world history. Yeah. There is no prehistoric time. It's all in history. It's all recorded. There's no prehistory. It's all recorded. And so what a blessing. I'm hoping we're all going to grow from this. I know Michael will grow greatly, but again, we're going to need support, both of us, and it'll help supply this experience to people who can't afford it. Because like we said, if anybody's joining in late, we have a lot of people who are free and reduced prices, because most people on this journey are one income families like we are. And now we're almost no income families.
Yeah, and that's a scary thing, because you know, Josh being a school teacher this was my 18th year as a teacher, and stepping out of that world and saying, you're not going to get your paycheck every month, and you have a new child, you have 4 kids to feed. You know, it's one of those things where that voice of doubt can creep in and be like, are you sure you're doing the right thing? And how Josh took that step of faith last year inspired the heck out of me, because I was like, man, I always want to move in that direction, but it's taking that step is scary, even when you're a man of faith like he is. And one thing I've been really praying this year and asking God to guide my steps, make me your messenger, do these things. And I've really tried to change the way that I pray, to ask, instead of asking for specific things that I want to see happen, asking for God to make me a part of his plans. What are you doing, God? Make me a part of those plans. Because I feel like it's really, it's changed all of these encounters I'm having with people, even this opportunity of ministry that I jumped into and it didn't work out. And I was thinking, I was really disheartened. I'm like, man, I'm a heretic. I can't sign their statement of faith because of my beliefs. And it's like, God just showed me, like, you were following me. And it's like, that wasn't the path he wanted me on. And so many things like that have been happening. And being a part of the public school system, it is a ministry. I think everything we do is a ministry. No matter what your job is, you're living this, walk with the Holy Spirit. So it's like everywhere you go, no matter what you're doing, you represent, your Father's kingdom. So for me, it was funny. I ran into some students I taught when I taught middle school a couple of years ago, which was a fun adventure. And I ran into them at a restaurant, and they were like, "Coach Keith, we thought," and I'd left the school. So they're like, "We thought you got fired for talking about God all the time." And I laughed, and I thought, and it's funny how rumors get started. And I was like, but at the same time, it's like, I think we've come to a place in our careers where we're not afraid to lose our job for speaking about our faith, or, bringing these things. And I had kids thank me at the end of the year. They were like, "Thank you for bringing God back into the classroom," because I think most teachers are really afraid of that. And I'll have parapros in my room and co-teachers, and they'll be like, "Are you sure you should be saying that?" And I'm like, "Hey, if they want to come in and say something, they will, and it's not going to change how I interact."
Yeah.
To know that we have the freedom, like Josh was saying, to pray with these kids before we teach them, and to really openly, without any fear of retribution, speak the word of God. That to me is such an awesome blessing to have that opportunity.
Yeah, it's hard to get used to. It took me a few weeks to get used to being able to pray and say things, because for years, I would use the word intelligent design, and we would destroy evolution with our lessons, and we would have to be somewhat sneaky. But like you said, at the end, you start going, I don't care if they come in. But I did get observed last year or the year before last, doing evolution, and I'd already been called down to the office. We got in trouble, or I've been called down to the office, the principal's office, as a teacher 3 times in my
Yeah,
career.
they called me and him both in one time. That's
Yeah,
when I knew it was bad.
that was one of the three. And the first time was about what I speak about on YouTube. Before, I had a big channel. I had like 20 something subscribers, and they said it's not good that you're showing your face and teaching against proven facts, proven facts of evolution, the globe, all those things. Because all I had started doing, I'd been doing biblical videos and evolution investigations, but I started talking about the firmament, and that's when I got called in. And so I took my face out of the mix and started FEB, Founded Earth Brothers, or back then Flat Earth Brothers, and it took off. And the Father, I said, I asked the Father to send people this way. He did. And I mean, he really just opened it up, and people started seeing the proofs of the firmament. Things started growing. And then I felt led we were doing a live stream with David Beverly from NASA, former NASA employee guy. And he said, "I can't tell your voices apart. Show your face. Can you show your faces?" And we said, "All right." And so we did. Within, I don't even know how long, a few weeks maybe, we get called down to the office. And I'm like, my goodness, and we know that it's not parents of our students watching and reporting, we're censored, right? It's somebody that doesn't like us talking to central office, pretending to be a parent. That's my theory. I could be wrong. And so we both got in trouble, but we got to flat smack the principals there, and they were blessings. They were nice. By the time they walked out, their eyes were bigger and opening up.
Yeah, it was so funny, because when they came in, they said, "Is this a joke?" And we're like, "Not a joke." And by the time we were done, their mouths were like just wide open. And I was like, when we walked out of there, I was kind of laughing. I was like, "Josh, they're both flat earthers now," and they didn't even know what they were getting into.
They were basically going to laugh at us. They were like, let's just bring them in. I don't think they really believe us. They're like, "Do y'all really believe this stuff?" And so that was a fun one. But then my last one just caught me off guard, because I switched schools, and I thought, nobody knows me here hardly, and I'm just going to teach life science and wake up as many people as I can, while I'm here. And I had precious children. I love them to death. And then I get called into the office, and I'm like, what is going on? And it was, "Well, here, you got a book." And I'm like, okay, I've wrote one chapter in one book, maybe 5 pages. I didn't write a whole lot, but I'm glad you found it. Now what? And it's like, "Well, just make sure you're not biased." And I'm like, make sure I'm not biased. I mean, I am, but not, so it ended up, that was my third experience. And then I got observed during an evolution unit where I was about to talk about the Red Sea crossing, the proofs we have of that. And so that was like, man, he walked in at the best time of the year. But I didn't get fired. Fortunately, I was able to finish out the year there. But that was when I was transitioning into that battle of going, we've got to do more. We got to reach more people. And so that's what we need help doing. We need help reaching more people. A lot of people, across the U.S. we have now in our classes. I don't know the exact number of students we had. My wife would know. She does all the registration. but it changed. Numbers fluctuate throughout the year. People have circumstances that change. We did grow a little bit throughout the year, but then you would have some that are like, you know what, hey, I'm moving, or this is happening, or we're going to come back next year. And so the numbers fluctuate. We have a large population of free and reduced prices. And so to get things rolling, to have what we need, I do not like asking for support or help. That's the reason why I have just like, I take people's names that have offered to help, and I put them in a little spreadsheet, and I'm like, they've offered to help with this, and I got them there. I really do hope someday to use the help, but I'm bad about it. But we are now saying that, we're doing this. We want it to grow. We want more people to have access to it. And my brother's going to be doing some work trying to go and find donors and talk to people, but we really do need support. So share that page. I've linked it into the description, the fellow helpers page. If you go on our website, CreationStandard.com, I'll go ahead and take you there again, just in case you joined us late, so you can see how to get there. On our homepage, CreationStandard.com, just go to Support Us and scroll down, and you can see little options to support. Again, do it if you're led. Don't ever put yourself in any financial burden giving us support, but it's something that will definitely be a reward you can't lose, because you are helping provide opportunities for people that are priceless. And I say priceless because the testimonies we have from not just me, from the children in this journey, the relationships they've built along the way, the connections, people that find out they live, close by to each other, they're not alone out there in the world. It's priceless, because there's some people who are out there, they feel isolated. They're walking the way they're supposed to walk, and they're feeling separate from the world. And so it's something that definitely needs to be built up. Just know that the reason there's more options here, Foundation Standard, is because my brother is, even though he's partnering with us, it's separate. And so if you want to support him, my brother Michael, at Foundation Standard, you can also go up here. Class payment FS is what it says. That's where you can pay for classes for him. Or support. You can donate right here, donate or pay. He's got that option there as well. So lots of different ways you can support. For me, I know when times are rough, the way they design this, the what do you call it? The financial system we have, the way they designed it to keep everybody on the bottom, it's tough. Sometimes all I can do is watch ads on my favorite channels' videos to support them. You do what you can. Prayers is a good one. Your prayers have been felt. You guys have been a major blessing. And we have some people I know that will just regularly donate. And it seems like a small amount, but it's regular, and we know they have the best of intentions, and it's just a blessing. We can't always thank everybody, but you know who you are. Those of you fellow helpers out there helping us.
It was a scary undertaking. And when Josh first did it, I was so amazed at how much help he got and how many people were willing to give. And it is such a blessing, because we're walking on faith with this. I mean, we're stepping out, and it's like, my last paycheck is next month, and after that, it's whatever help we can get. And I know personally, I would love to make this a free service that our support is enough that we can just offer this, because I think the parents that are staying home and they're working and they're doing the homeschool route. My wife is homeschooling our son right now, and I feel like it's such a blessing when you can be offered a free resource. When somebody gives you a free book and says, hey, use this, it's free. It's just such a blessing for us. And we want to be able to do that, with everyone else. So the help really does make that more of a possibility for us.
Next week, we do not and will not turn anybody away that says, hey, we really want to join, but right now we can't. And it's been a blessing this year that we have been able to, and it's thanks to people giving. And thank you so much. This is a super chat from HRGM333. Thank you so much for that. I would say brother, but it could be sister. I don't want to. I made that mistake today with a young child. I was like, look at that little boy, look at the guns. And I didn't know it was a girl, and I felt so bad. I was like, wow. Oh. I felt horrible. I was like, why is the mom frowning? I just gave a compliment to her boy. And then I realized it was not a little boy. I felt horrible. Brother. Okay, so brother. Thanks, brother. I thought so. I felt that, but I didn't want to make sure. But thank you so much. But yeah, anybody just joining, the big announcement was my brother is wanting to join forces, partner up with us. We have to keep it separate. I'm not at a point Definitely financially where I could make him my employee and give him a paycheck. It just cannot happen right now. I mean, I say right now, the father could make it happen, but separate families, same same desire, and he will be again offering math and history, which is the missing parts of the operation. Because right now I've done earth and life science, which is extremely important because that's where a lot of the lies come from. But history is another one. Biblical
Yep.
history is history, and math can be used to deceive. A part of the lies in science bank on people just not understanding math and trusting others with the math. And when you do the math, you start realizing they're using math to lie to us, inventing theories based on falsities with math or deceptive math. And so it's important to have a strong foundation in many areas so you can't be deceived. But most importantly, trusting our Father's words, putting it to the test, because that's what we have done with this experience. And my goodness, his provable truth of creation has dominated. Like it hasn't even been a contest. I thought, man, some of this stuff might, we might have some questions asked. And no, it's just like these children they're seeing firsthand worldly wisdom fall apart. And it's fun watching that shift in their how they start seeing stuff and they start pointing stuff out and they start finding these things on their own. And it makes them like investigators. They start investigating this stuff and they have fun with it. And man, they are just brilliant little truth soldiers. It's amazing the work
Yeah,
that they do as well.
Yeah, I love that idea that these kids can start questioning the narrative, because I feel like that's a skill that so much of us in the world grew up not ever even being exposed to. The idea that you can just question the narrative, like with the bombings of Iran that's happening right now and all this stuff in the world, it's like we should be able to go, wait a second, who is this Israel? Is this the biblical Israel? We should be able to question those types of things. But to see these kids investigate, and there was a study that was done where they found out that kids up until like the age of 4, they're learning at genius levels. And it's like once they got to school, it started going away. And they were like, man, it's the education. They're not being taught to problem solve. They're not being taught to investigate. And I feel like we need to unlock that God-given skill that our kids have of problem solving, of questioning things, and being the kid in class who's able to say, that doesn't sound right. There's something wrong with that story, and prove it to me. Those kind of questions that we really need to be able to, our kids need to be equipped to ask and just think. I mean, you need to be able to think when you're faced with any information.
Yeah. Amen. I know. And it's hard, even the identity crisis that we all have, not knowing who we are, not knowing where we come from, not knowing what happened to the people before us, the 12 tribes, the dispersion. What does the future hold? I mean, I remember the fear of having a dream. This was not very long ago. I'm talking, I don't know, 12 years ago, that the stars are falling from the heavens, and going, what happens next? In my dream going, what did the book say? You know what I mean? Like what's the immediately next thing? And it's like you wake up and you read the Bible, you're like, man, how can I be in this such a slumber that I forget what the Bible says when something happens that instantly? Like when he says, behold, I come quickly, you're not going to go, here's the journey. He's starting his journey. He's going to return soon, guys. We got about 40 years to prepare and get right. Like it's going to be like lightning. Every eye is going to see. It's going to be quick. It's not going to be, oh, let me start living right now. Like we're going to have to be ready. And so, yeah, it's extremely important to build that foundation, knowing who we are. And so thank you, Bob Cleveland. What a blessing. Thank you for that super chat. What a blessing. And Leah McDonald. Blessings to you guys. Thank you so much for that. This journey would not be possible without spirit-led individuals giving. And I do not want to be one of those preachers who's like, give to us and you're going to prosper. And you're, one of those messages. Your rewards will not be lost. It's something that you're providing. If it's $30, that's an entire month for one student, that they wouldn't be able to have otherwise. And so you are bringing truth into the household of somebody, truth that will hopefully change their life. And I'm not saying that we're just these bearers of truth, but the Father's Holy Spirit is at work, obviously, with this journey. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here learning the things that I've learned, seeing the things that I've seen. And just the work, I want to show you some work samples. I hope they don't mind. I have some super talented, gifted students. I've been able to meet some of them. One of them goes by the name of Noah. Talk about setting people free, saving them from a corrupted world. Um, Let me pull this up real quick. I forgot to do that. There we go. Star Trails. Let's see. Where is that tab? There it is. This is from our yearbook. Inside look at the yearbook. But Noah, with his photography skills, star trails, we look at the stars. We encourage them to go out for 6 months, looking at the stars, seeing if we make it to the other side of the sun, and going out and praying, having a relationship with the Most High on this journey. It's not about just science and science. It's about proving all things, but it's also about getting to know our Creator. And so that's a big part of the journey, huge part of it. And compiling verses, proof that the firmament wasn't destroyed with the flood. This is also from Noah. And as I'm reading, like when they turn in their work, I didn't have a whole lot of time this year to go and check their work. I mean, we were creating lessons just all the time. And my wife, bless her heart, and my children, like they allowed me to sit there and work and do these things. And
yeah, I never saw him throughout this entire process.
Yeah, nobody saw me, and I felt bad. I was
once
like,
every couple of months, and it was like, hey, and he's like, got to go back.
Yeah, it's like and while we're driving down the road, this is something new to me. When you become like the Messiah said, it helps you relate to when he said becoming a servant, the greatest are the servants, and you become a servant. That's what you do. You keep serving, you keep working, and that's what the Father did with his own people. When he was setting them free, he didn't just set them free and go, "You're free, run along, you're free range kids now." It was, "You're free. I'm going to provide for you every single day. I'm going to provide for you shelter, food, free food, manna, opening the windows or the doors." Like David said in the Psalms, he said the doors of heaven were opened, that manna would fall down to his people. And they were provided with these things. And so he was serving people, the Most High serving people, making a way for people. Not just going, "Look at me, worship me. I'm this awesome creator, obviously, who can design things that still can't be matched." No, I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to send you saviors. I'm going to send you Moses. I'm going to send you my beloved son. All these different things. And so extremely powerful when you step into a role where you're being more like a servant and serving. And so it's a lot of work. When you ask for it, the Father provides, you become a servant. It's a blessing, but again, it is a lot of work. And here's some of the verses I wanted to share. This was compiled by Noah, as one of our assignments was to look up verses in the Bible, go through. I mean, how many classes do you get to do that? And find verses of the firmament or the heavens, because remember he called the firmament heaven. So he quoted Psalm 19:1, 151, praise Yahuwah, praise Elohim in his sanctuary, praise him in his mighty firmament. And I was going through and reading these guys, and hardly ever do I get emotional reading student work. But when you're reading these verses and knowing that these children are young adults, I say children, young adults. I mean, Noah's like a foot taller than me. When I met him in person, I was like, wow.
What grade is Noah?
He's, I believe he is just turning 14, somewhere around that age. Wow. I thought he was like 15. I thought he was my son's age. He's tall. He's got the deep voice. The one they have, he does, he has a YouTube channel as well. But just reading these verses, things like that, gets you emotional, because it's like, wow, these children are creating a strong, strong foundation. And my goodness, what a humbling journey it has been, witnessing such great work. Our yearbook is full of it. I didn't want to share too much because I know some people, there's privacy. I don't want to be like, "Here's your child, let me flash them to the whole world." But so much work, so many great works. I wish I really could share them with everybody, but again, privacy. I'm sure Noah won't mind because he has a YouTube channel. He puts himself out there already. Legacy, I think it's Legacy. Let me make sure I'm getting it right. Legacy Adventure, or Noah's Adventures on Legacy Farm. I think that's what it's called, I believe. I'll have to double check. But yeah,
I think I've already subscribed to that one.
Yeah, he does some really good videos. He's like super talented. And we had a young man create a video, a YouTube or a 3D video, biblical creation model of the world in Blender. And I was like, "Wait, you did what?" Like, it was amazing. Let me see if I can find that video, because that was really, really cool. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. I'm not seeing it. I closed it out earlier and I lost it. I should have kept it up. But what a video. When I found it, I didn't find it until the end of the year. After we were like are about to say our goodbyes, I was like, share your work. If you have any work that we haven't seen, please share it. And these students, they're bashful. They won't share their great work. When I found that, I was like, you're telling me you did this like way back in like August, or September. And I'm just now finding it because I should have found it. He turned it in,
Yeah.
but I was so busy. I didn't get to go back and look at all their great work. And when I went back and found it, I was like, my goodness, like we could use you in our movement of truth because we don't have a lot of really good animators. And that was his first try. He made his own music. He made the model. It was 3-dimensional. You had the sun and the moon circling above. I'm like, wow, teenagers doing this stuff. Pretty impressive stuff.
It's easier for the young ones though.
Yeah.
It's like they're just born able to do that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Our Father is raising up a generation of true soldiers, unlike anything I have witnessed. And being able to witness it, I feel like I was in a seat this year, a unique spot that I don't think anybody else has been in, where you're able to see these types of children. Obviously, if they chose Creation Standard in the first place, they're pretty cool parents. They're, they are truth seekers to a different degree. And so I already knew their children are going to be something special. But I had no clue that that's going on around the world. It's not just where we are. It's not just in the U.S. It's going around in the world like that, where it's legal, And some people are having to be kind of underground with this stuff. They have to send their children into school. They cannot homeschool them. And there's probably going to be a time where it's like that with us. I don't know. But while it's legal, do this. And even when it's illegal, still do this. Like, might have to break some rules to save your children, No, not that I'm encouraging you to break the law, but
we'll just change what it's called.
Yeah, they're encouraging you to break commandments or send your children to where they're going to be doing that, which all of us were brought up in a system where we were pledging allegiance to a graven image every day. So yeah, awesome times for this mission. And so again, if you want to support, go to the website, creationstandard.com. There's different options. I'm still updating the website, so I'll try to make it easier to go. I'm going to support you, or I'm going to support your brother. And so Foundation Standard, that's my brother Michael. If you want to support his journey into this, feel free. Creation Standard, that'll go to us. And so whichever or both, it's up to you. Again, I am horrible about asking for help, but we're not just asking for help. We're asking to help the truth spread further and to help us continue with our goal of providing classes for those that in need that can't afford it right now at all. Like they're like, I really don't have the money at all right now. Husband lost job, whatever happened. One income family, no income family, but they want the experience and they get it. And so we are hoping to reach more of them. And we need your support. And so thank you so much. Those of you who have already supported during this live stream, what a blessing. People are saying, good job, Noah. Yeah. These students, I'm going to try to do more to showcase what they do. That's where I dropped the ball this year. At the very end of the year, I had some show and tell type of classroom experiences where we're showing the work that they've done and going over stuff. And my goodness, it was like the most epic talent show in the world. Like yeah. I forget that like the skills they're learning at home, and like we have people that are like 9 years old that can write books. We have people that are, can play multiple instruments, farm bees, go out and do things and like that I never learned how to do. They don't teach in regular school. And so what a blessing it has been. Can't say that enough. Somebody said, I want to just give a testimony of 12 years. Husband is not, although he's a believer. Wow. So he agreed to let the children attend last year. How much of a blessing is that? Father's truth spreading. Yeah. And we had some families that are like, I believe in biblical cosmology, but my spouse doesn't. We're going to let the children go through this, and we're all going to watch this stuff together as a family and see what happens. To me, that's where it's at, and we encourage that. You don't have to be a biblical cosmologist to join. And if you're not into biblical cosmology, the life science, the math, and the history, like there's other options. And now I feel like it's becoming more of a one-stop shop. So you're not having to go to all these other places, because we have people that, they're very serious about bringing their children up the right way and educating them. And you're having to go here to Creation Standard, and then you have to go to a history class down the road, and then you got to come back. And it's like you're going to all these different places. And so it could be a great blessing, I feel like, having math, science, and history in somewhat the same place. You know, you can just go to the website and find, you know, here's where that option is, here's where this option is, and make it simple. Let me see if I can pull up the website again one more time to help you guys navigate it. I try to make it simple, but I know my vision versus what other people's visions are. It's not always the same, and they're like, they get lost. And this journey has been funny because I did not realize when you start a worldwide online school that you have to keep track of all these other time zones, and then finding out, wait a minute, they're in different times of the year. Now, not only are they like in Australia 16 hours different or whatever, it's like they're in summer, we're going into winter, you know, or it's like the seasons are different. Like, it's weird. There's so many different things that we've had to figure out along the way. But again, if you're just joining, or if you want to help navigating the site, CreationStandard.com, everything you should need could be on this first page. You scroll down, registration buttons. If you want to register for any of our classes, it's all in one spot, one form. You don't have to find 4 different forms. It's all in one spot. If you keep scrolling down, I added this and nobody noticed. The foundation standard classes, if you want to check those out, they're here as well. It's all one form, but I made it look like 2 different options. It's all the same form. Math and algebra, biblical, world history. If you want course info, just click the course info. It'll bring that up. And if you want to email him, you can email him. Let's see, there's his email right there. You scroll down, pricing info. You can email him. And just remember, pricing is separate. So you can see how things stair step. If you're in one class per family, this is per family, $30 a month. So if you have 4 students and they're in one class, it's not multiplied 30 times 4. It's just $30 per family. And so if you add another class, 50, 60, same pricing as Creation Standard, but again, it's separate. So if you did this and you went back to Creation Standard, the discount wouldn't be continued. You know, now you're paying 70. It would start over. So they're separate. That's where it will be a little bit challenging, and that's why we're going to need a lot of support, because I know there's a lot of people who may not be able to do that. But 2 classes, if you had, let's say you had math and science in 1 year, that's not too bad. $2 a day, changing your life. So yeah, someone said your cameras could be duplicated. Your camera duplicated your picture. Oh yeah, it did. There's 2 of me. That's what it looks like, doesn't it?
He gained a lot of weight in the lower picture.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, fortunately we've been spaced out in weight a little bit, especially in the wrestling days. That helped.
When Josh first came to work with me at Dalton High School years ago, somebody saw him and thought he was me, and they said, "Man, you've lost a lot of weight."
They're like, "You've been working out. What have you been doing? You got shorter too. What happened?"
Yeah, we used to be one
I was
weight
in an
class
elevator
apart.
accident. I got crushed. Yeah. But yeah, did you have anything else to share? I don't want to keep you too long. I know you've got a lot of work ahead of you. So do I. We're going to be working all summer. Right now, I'm working on making textbooks, workbooks for all 4 classes, praying we can get that done in time. I'm going to be having to work around the clock because there's a lot of stuff we have to do around the house to catch up for all the work we missed this year with Creation Standard. Doing all the work we did, my to-do list kept piling up as I'm pushing things to the side. It's like, okay, you got to do this, you got to do that. We got a baby on the way. So you guys know how it is. Some of you, when you have a big family, a growing family, child number 6 on the way. My brother just had his. How many children is it for you?
4.
4? Yeah, we were losing count. We're losing count. Right now we're at 10 total. He's got 4 children just finalized an adoption. Talk about being grafted in with
what a
his
blessing
son.
that was.
Yeah. So yeah, he's been blessed this year with a son now adopted in to the family, grafted in.
Yeah, that was a God story in itself, man. Different talk on that. We got to share that testimony.
Yeah, we got a lot to share. We'll share more of the testimonies pretty soon. A lot to share, and I feel like it helps if you're in fellowship with somebody. It helps to hear their testimony, because there's people that I've been like thinking like, I don't know them, I don't want to really join their fellowship if you don't really know their story, and then you hear their story and you're like, that's why they are like they are, and so you understand them a lot better. So hopefully you can understand more about why we're so different, goofy. We used to be good looking. No, I'm just kidding. when we were really young, baby pictures, guys. But yeah, we've got some cool stories to share. Things from the mid to late 1900s. I guess if you're in the 80s, that's the mid to late 1900s and forward. Sounds
Yeah,
weird
we got to
saying
do
that.
some real. We're going to be doing some story times. We got
Yeah,
some really like our life stories. Me and Josh could be its own series. I mean, it is so many
a
crazy
drama and a
fun
comedy
stories.
series and a miracle series
Yeah,
all in one. Yeah, lots of funny stories. But yeah, what a blessing. I mean, even just my love story with my wife is like a one of those movies, that's like, let's see later what happened. She rejected him at age 9. Where did they end? His first heartbreak.
age 10,
Yeah,
she left him for being too short.
yeah. She left me. But yeah, be a sad country song and a movie. She came back though. But yeah, we got so many cool stories to share. It'd be fun to sit down and do that when time allows. Hopefully, time will allow. Um, in the midst of all the chaos of getting everything ready for this upcoming year, I feel like it's going to be powerful, guys. With Creation Standard having now partnership with Foundation Standard with my brother, so that you can get more in the same spot. You don't have to go all over the place. And those who really enjoyed this year with me, my brother has the same approach. We, have similar learning experiences. He actually did better in school than I did, and didn't struggle as hard as I did. We both struggled, but I think I really um, did a lot better at not doing as good.
He worked just as hard
Yeah.
as I did. It's just
I
yeah.
remember
But,
studying. I would get so mad in college. I would study for like 2 hours, and you'd study for an hour, and then you would do better on the test, and you'd be like, "You just didn't study as hard as I did." And I'm
you
like,
just
"I
got to
know
study
I
faster.
did." Yeah, I would get so frustrated.
Yeah,
So it was such a challenge. When you're in competition with your twin, it's different. Even if you care about each other, you love each other, it's a brotherly love. There's a competition there that's more heated than any competition. When we wrestled each other, it was like life or death.
yeah.
And
Everything was personal. Like we, as we went to college together and wrestled together. If y'all don't know our background, we were, yes, Josh was a national champion wrestler in high school and state champion wrestler. We were both state champions, and we were, going to college, and we took all the classes together so that it was like he could help me, I could help him if there was a test. Because our coach and people were like, "Are you serious when you say this?" He said, "You guys need 20 hours a week of study hall." So we were in study hall for 20 hours a week just to keep our grades up and to stay eligible,
yeah,
on top of wrestling practice 2 and 3 times a day and all that stuff. But yeah,
yeah,
it was so funny how heated in the wrestling ring we would get. Like as soon as Josh took me down, my fist would ball up. Like I just
yeah,
took it so personal, but it made it so much better,
yeah. You felt
that
like the
we
news
hated
crews were going to
losing
show
to
up and be like, "Here it is. This is engraved in history. You lost this one takedown." Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we used
still
to.
feel bad. I have regrets because we were too competitive at certain times with each other, not as much with others, but with each other. They separated us. Our coach in college was like, "I'm going to separate you guys. Sorry." It's like,
Somebody's gonna get hurt.
I was like, that was probably the best thing for my body. My neck still to this day hurts from those battles. My
Yeah,
wife's like, "I'm not letting our children wrestle because of the way you are now." I'm always like, my neck, She knows.
sorry.
Yeah, I blame you. That was funny. Did you see what Tyler said? Something
No,
about
what
me
he
having, me having 6 children, you having 5. He said, when God said, "Be fruitful and multiply," the brother said, "Okay."
Yeah, I know, Josh. Every like the last 3 kids, he's like, "This is the last one," and I'll say, "You're gonna have another one," and then a
Yeah.
few, year later, he'll walk in and be like, "I had another one." I'm like, "Dude,
I'm
I
like,
told
quit
you."
saying that. I don't want you to say that
I
no
know
more.
my wife Rachel was pregnant and Amber there at the same time. Our son was born in March 14th, and Amber was maybe 6 months along then or so. And he's like, "We need to get them together for a pregnancy picture because this will be the last chance for that." And I said, "Don't say this will be the last chance for that." I mean, we're in our 40s, but somehow I think God wants us to have more children. Somehow it's just
Yeah. It's
they're
it's
always a
something
blessing.
special. You don't know what it's like when I'm looking at my son the other day. He just turned 3, just adorable little guy. And I'm like, I wasn't like, "Hey, we're gonna have another child," and then we had him. But our father knew what we needed before we even had it. You know? Now it's like, I know I need this child. I cannot live without this child. And he's like, here you go. Here's an extra gift that you did not ask for, but you have. And it's like, wow. And it's a gift that's going to keep on giving. You raise them up right, they're going to do the same thing to their children, create more super soldiers, more true soldiers out there. What a blessing. But you
Speaking of
guys are a major blessing. What was that? Go ahead.
I said, speaking of Cohen, I was expecting him to come like jumping in on your head any second
I
now.
know. He usually runs in here and wants to beat me up. He's got his toddler testosterone full swing. It's a
Their
real thing.
testosterone levels at those ages are as high as a teenager. I mean, they're very high testosterone for those little boys.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Somebody said they had Donna said last two at 41 and 44. Yeah, I will be 40. Are we going to be 42?
We'll be 42 this year, bro.
We're going to be 42.
We're 42
So, yeah.
next month, July 17th, 7/17.
Yeah.
42 years old.
You said 7/17. I just saw a comment. It said 7/17. We have 17 grandchildren. 2 greats. Congrats. Wow. I saw the 7/17 right when you said that. That was just weird.
God does that to us.
Yeah, he did that in the Bible too. The 17th day of the 7th month when the ark came to rest. I was like, that's a special day. That's when I was born. The ark came to rest. And if you don't know, part of our testimony, Michael, when he was born, he was what I guess they classify as a stillbirth. Like he wasn't moving. He wasn't showing signs of life. We'll talk about these things. We'll come on and we'll have a good talk about this stuff. But yeah, part of the testimony, our parents having faith, our parents saying, no, we're not going to believe that they aren't going to make it when the doctors were saying that, because they were like, your first child, they called him a baby. So he's probably not going to make it.
A baby's not going to make it.
Yeah. And my dad, my mom were like, no, you're fired. Nobody's going to say those words in here. They had faith. Awesome. Well, this has been a great little update. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything. We talked about joining with Foundation Standard, offering the math and history, the missing part, math, science, history. Kind of reminds me of that Big Bang show. Unraveling the mystery of biblical history. Yeah, but yeah, it's going to be fun, and having some help and having someone to work with that's nearby, because I've had a lot of people offer help, and it is really tough because there's some people they're like, I could teach a class, I could do this, and I'm like, I'm not in a place where I could pay somebody to help, and they're like, I can volunteer, and I'm like, I got to do background checks. There's just so many different things to consider when having somebody come on that you're going to trust with the most precious children in the world. And I'm not saying people aren't trustworthy. It's just a big thing to do. And that's why we've been blessed that people have put their trust in what the Father's doing with us to allow us to spend time with their most precious gift that they have, their children, one of the most precious gifts. And so what an honor it was this year to have those people before us and have that ability and that trust, because without that, we wouldn't have been able to do that, and this experience wouldn't have been possible. So the parents are a big part of this operation, a huge part, because even though the children want to come back, the parents are the ones that sign them up, get us everything started. And so thank you to the parents out there in the world that endured this first journey with us, so we can compile the stuff that we have, stuff that we can not lose, wisdom that we now have that will be passed on to not just other people, but into workbooks that can be used and into lessons that can be used continually and upgraded, revamped. And then I look forward to seeing what my brother's going to do, what the Father's going to do in his life with his walk as he takes this journey. Because in this busy world, when you've been stuck in a classroom for 18 years, I think, with teaching math and special ed with your background, like you don't have the time to really dive in. And this year, having the time to really dive into the Word and creation science, it's fun. I'm telling you, you're going to have fun. It's going to be the most work you've ever done, but you're going to have the most fun you've ever had and meet the best people you've ever met. And we're going to continue to be looking for support. And so if you know anybody that wants to be, let's say, a donor, but they want to have advertisements, let us know. Like, I'm willing to put their slogans on our website, on our YouTube channel, things like that. Doing things differently. I'm not a fundraiser guy. When we were coaches together, we do not like fundraising. We don't like asking for money.
Yeah,
and
that's a hard thing to do, is to ask.
Yeah, it is really hard to do, but we're just letting you know that it will bless more people than you could imagine, providing for them to have that experience and not have to be like, well, I can't pay, so I'm missing out on something. And we're not going to turn them down. And so whether you support us or not, we're going to have people that are getting free and reduced prices. And so we really do honor your support. And thank you for it in advance, because we know the Father will provide. And you fellow helpers out there, you know who you are. you've done such great work with us in the past, making this past year possible. It would not have been possible without people donating. Absolutely would not. It would have been really tough. We would have had to have basically sold our house probably. I'd have had to find another office. Like stuff would have been crazy. But he's setting up an at-home office. I've got the office set up over here, and it's been a unique journey. Not having to get up in the morning and scrape ice off the windows of my car, everybody, and go and teach people. Now I can do it from home and teach the truth, 100% non-GMO truth.
Yeah, we're not hiding anymore.
Organic. Yeah, no more mixed in poisonous lies and things. And not that we were teaching lies, but you're having to navigate around them all the time. And it's tough. It is really tough to be a creationist and a life science teacher and navigate that world. And so, yeah, it's definitely a life-changing experience. I watch and learn. Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, I'm learning. I'm excited to talk and meet up with you guys and do our lessons because I'm like, look, I just learned something this week that I've never seen in my life. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Like that's the excitement we've had this year with this journey. Is that's what the Father rewarded us with, honestly, is not just the fellowship, but here's wisdom that the world is missing. Here's a proof of creation people haven't talked about in books and in online or anything, and I'm like, I'm overloaded. Like I'm looking forward to having a chance to share a lot of this stuff with people that we've come across this year. Just some little Cliff Notes versions of some of the things that he's shown us, but it's just so much. There's just too much I have to go through step by step. But yeah, God is good all the time. And our sweet, precious Tracy Jones, saying, may our Father bless you both for bravely stepping out to teaching his truth in his love. Yeah. Truth is a big thing, but the love is far greater. Learning truth would be nothing if we didn't have that peace that comes with it, and the faith that comes with it, that trust that comes with his truth. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that's one thing I've always wanted to do is make some good children's books. I think there's such a market for that.
That and videos, and little videos. That's what I was trying to start making at the beginning of this experience last year, and ran out of time. Just didn't have the time for it. But I was like, man, that would be fun, and have better editors and people in the process other than just me, because I'm low skill level when it comes to green screens. I'm no NASA level green screen guy, but doing those things is fun. It's a lot of work though. We got a little detective, Joseph Jacobson. He joined us on the journey this year, and that was a lot of fun with the investigation for the younger students, because we have some of the younger ones that really are missing out because some of the stuff's over their head, and it's like they're younger, they're 4, 3, 5. They want to be a part of the experience, giving them little videos that help them join us on the adventure. Oh, you got one already. Need help publishing it? Yeah. I have students that are like, hey, here's how you publish stuff online. Like they know this stuff. Like I'm over here trying to figure it out, and they're like, oh yeah, go to whatever, and they send you information. I'm like, that's interesting. There's a lot of self-publishing websites out there that you can do it yourself. Just get an
editor.
To
Matt Beavers.
Yeah, talk to Matthew Beavers. That guy, he could knock out a book a week if he really had like no full-time job. I'm not kidding. Like if I had my book sitting here, the one, like it was just a regular, not a very thick book, but like he threw this thing together. I felt like in a couple of weeks, and my chapter is very tiny in there, and I was going to try to do 2 chapters, and he saw me struggling. He goes, I'll take care of that other one. You just do your chapter, that one chapter. I was like, thank you, bro, because I'm struggling. And he's like, I've already got 3 chapters done today. How many have you done? I'm like, I'm on paragraph 1, and I'm starting over 12 times. No. Some people are just gifted. If you're gifted with that for the kingdom, I'm telling you, it's reaching people. People go on to buy books, and they'll just type in biblical cosmology, and they'll find it, or whatever. So it's a different role. We all have different roles. Some of us it's music, some of us it's writing, some of us it's public speaking. Some of us were terrified to public speak, people like me, but doing it anyways. Getting out of our comfort zone. The Messiah got out of his comfort zone for us. Put on a crown of thorns. What are we going to do for him and his Father?
Amen.
Quite the undertakings we got before us. But be brave, people. Step out of your comfort zone. Let this be an inspiration to you. Some of you are in a situation where you feel like you could do more, and it's a scary step. But making your decisions for the Most High, don't say, how is this going to affect me? Say, how is this going to affect you? How is this going to bless you? And that's what the Holy Spirit showed me when I was making this decision, is get out of that, how is this going to affect me pity party? Because that's what I was in. What about me?
Yeah.
What about me? All these years of comfort living in, this steady paycheck world where it's here and you have your degree for it and you're certified for it and it's easy. It's going to be work, but it's going to be a blessing. So thank you guys for tuning in for this update. It's a big update. It's the biggest one we've had, I think, ever. It's really cool to have this experience and this journey with my brother stepping out on faith to do something very similar to what we've been doing. Of course, it's a math and history, and we have a lot of history in what we do with our science classes. There's a lot of history we cover, but this will really solidify that and tie into it. And I think you're opening it up to like ages like 10 and up, right? So it's not going to be just a middle school or a high school. It's going to be for a wider group, because I honestly, I did not want you teaching 4 preps like I did this year, just because
I could not.
Year, it was, I bit off more than I could chew. Without the help of the Holy Spirit, I couldn't have done half of it. And so it was a lot. So I want you to be able to be there for the family too. And unlike me, I just felt so unpresent. I just wasn't there a lot of times, even though I was. So yeah. Thank you so much for the prayers, for guidance and wisdom on this journey. It's going to be a unique journey, to say the least. And we'll keep you guys updated along the way, how things are going. At the heat of things, when we're first starting, September 2nd, when things are really full swing and we're beginning, you may not hear from us for a couple weeks, but then we'll try to come back and give updates along the way, let you see where your support's going. I don't want you just to support it and then go, what happened? We want you to see, here's the happy, smiling faces that got their workbooks today. Here's the testimonies of these children who are now getting access to something that they would have otherwise missed out on. And so we thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts, from my family and his family, for your prayers, your support, being fellow helpers to this mission. It's something that is the most, I just can't think of anything better to do or support than sharing truth with his precious inheritance, his young children. I couldn't think of a more prestigious job. Like, nothing sounds good anymore. Being a major CEO of some company or whatever, like, it sounds like nothing compared to what we've been able to do. And so thank you guys very, very much. You all are a blessing. And I look forward to sharing more of this journey with you guys, how it unfolds, giving you updates along the way. If you want information, send us an email at thecreationstandard@gmail.com. All the stuff is in the description. You can find it. I'll also pin in the comments how you can support either one of us. And so we thank you guys. You guys are the best. We love you. The Father loves you. And we will see you guys next time.
Good night.
Good night. As a science teacher and a creationist, I've had the privilege of finding creative ways to teach children the truth about creation without bias and looking at all the evidence, and it's been a blessing. However, I've also witnessed the ways that science is being taught and how it is specifically aimed at going against the words of the Most High and leading children away from His truth. And so, to combat these lies, there's something we can all do. It's to come together and create classes that provide an experience that allow people to look at the evidence on both sides and draw their own conclusions. And so we're going to be doing that with 4 classes, 2 of them geared towards the biblical creation model and 2 of them based on life science or biology. And we will be going over all of the evidence for evolution in the young earth versus the old earth, all of the science out there, putting it to the test, proving all things. So join us as we replace indoctrination with the provable truth of creation at CreationStandard.com.